but we are very excited to be launching this report, first of its kind. It's called Trend Spotting. It's about how Gen Z consumers buy. What does loyalty mean to them? How do they discover brands? What do brands mean to them in the first place, and what influences their behavior? So the report is there. It's on our website as well. I'll share the link. Very quickly about me, you've already known me, so I'll skip my intro. You've had me for long enough on the stage. What is Praxis? We are a new age consulting firm of the future. We do practical work with new age brands, incumbent brands around their new age initiatives, and so on. I'll sort of move. So very quickly, why did we even think about creating a report of this nature? Look, Gen Z is rising, right? And India is at the center stage of it. More than a fifth of Gen Zs globally are in India, right? So we're the hotspot of action. If you see overall, the Gen Z constitution within the consumer set is growing rapidly, right? We would be 31% Gen Zs and 12% Gen Alphas in the next 10 years. And so any brand here, you're a D2C brand, you're an incumbent brand, old brand, irrespective of the category, there is no running away from trying to sell to the Gen Z. And if you have to sustain as a brand, you need to talk about Gen Z because your current customers are aging or dying, and both is not that good for the brand. Now, overall, this is easy. You probably haven't seen this together, but overall consumer spending in India is around $2.6 trillion. We typically look at expenses, which of course, grocery, essentials, transportation, apparel, etc., etc. You consume services, which includes your transportation services, which includes ride-hailing, cabs, healthcare, financial services, education services, and so on. And then you have capital purchases. This includes automobiles, this includes sort of house purchases, furnishings, household expenses, and so on. So the overall annual consumption in the country is around 2.6. This is only B2C consumption, of course. And so if you look at what Gen Zs are doing, on the left-hand side, this is the Gen X, people from my generation. We were basically we're saving a lot more. We were spending a lot on rent and utilities. We spent something on fashion and apparel. But then experiences, health and wellness, tech and gadgets, and subscriptions. And actually, we could have colored beauty and personal care as well because it's about self-expression. It's not about beauty, it's not about vanity, it's about expression, right? I think those 4 or 5 categories are seeing a dramatic growth in the consumption pie itself. So if you're playing, irrespective of what category you're playing in, you will need to find products that cater to this very large 30-40% of the spend that's coming up with the new generation. Now, we spoke about this in the panel a little bit, and let me bring it together. In the most simple way we've been able to put it in the report is actually to lock in the Gen Z and to create an iconic brand. And we spoke about Nike, Swoosh, we spoke about Zara. These are iconic brands. They were rooted 40 years, 50 years, 60 years back. How do you create an iconic brand now if you're starting out? And so we look at it in 2 axes. Customer engagement, that's why we spoke about Instagram, we spoke about engagement, post-purchase, pre-purchase, and so on. And the other is value proposition. Proposition fit with the expectations of the customer. And if you see, if you were in the bottom left, you had a weak engagement and a weak product, you're basically going to be extinct. You are a non-distinct brand and not even a brand. You will be a commodity product, probably catering to the mass or sub-mass segment and relying on the sort of legacy thing called availability. Like just make your product available and you will sell something. If you're on the top left, which is you have very high customer engagement, you're loved and liked by influencers, Instagram, social media, WhatsApp, whatever, right? But had a relatively weak customer proposition, you would, one, get a lot of trial, right? So you will have consumers flocking to you. If you're talking about content that is relevant, you will win consumers' hearts. The consumers will relate to the brand. But you might not create a lasting brand because you will be on a treadmill, you're incenting trial, you're acquiring customers, but you're not able to create a sustained brand at the back of it just because you were engaging well. On the other side, if you had a strong customer proposition, a very strong product, very good product, it's truly sustainable, it's high performance, it's durable, it looks good, whatever, it's convenience, right? Whatever the case may be. But if you are not engaging with the customers, then you would basically have the share of mind. And so the functional users will buy you, but you will not be able to create a very big brand. So it's become obvious that engagement and product proposition is going together. And so this report actually captures these 9 drivers of what enables retuning customer engagement and what enables realigning the customer proposition. Chasing trends. So consumers are chasing trends, not brands, remember. So if you are a brand, you have to be relevant to the trends to be relevant as a brand to the customer. The second trend is socializing. It's not just socializing anymore. You shop, you share, you talk, seek validation, affirmation. If it's something aspirational, you show that aspiration in a very individual way. We talk about socializing while you're shopping. Edutainment-led buying. There is almost no buying that is happening purely on impulse. People are discovering, people are reading, people are talking about their snack bars, they're reading about the ingredients. Packaging has become very important, therefore. So you have to educate the customer about the category and the brand, for you to be able to engage the customer. Phygital everything. The channel, we use this word, we use this word quite often now, which is channel fluidity. Should we talk about channels at all? Because consumers want to interact with your brand. They want to find your brand. They want to be serviced in your brand. It could be a bank. I'm talking about a bank as well here, right? They do not distinguish between channels. They do not want to distinguish between channels. So everything is phygital. We have to reorient our understanding, and that's why one of the things we do with our clients a lot is how do we capture consumers in micro markets irrespective of the channel. On customer proposition, self-expression become very important. We spoke about that also a little bit. Belongingness to the brand has become more important than pure affinity with the brand or likability of the brand. Affinity in the sense, belongingness in terms of the causes that the brand supports, the content that the brand puts out, the kind of service that the brand does, etc. Convenience matters. We spoke about it in the panel as well. Convenience is now mattering a lot. Micro-activism. There is a lot of, I want to buy for a car. I feel strongly about something. I'm resisting using the word sustainability. I think we've beaten that to death. Like sustainable, I'm not sure if sustainable materials is the only thing that sells. But activism in whichever way. Activism about what causes does the brand support. Activism about what do I stand for and what do I not do at all, right? And it could be use of materials, it could be use of communication, it could be associating yourself with certain kind of celebrities versus the others or certain kind of influencers versus the others. It's changing a lot. Functional products, not pricey picks. It's very interesting that the premium is being paid for products that will serve them good, that are, and of course that sort of lead to other things that we have spoken about, but not pricey picks. Just because a brand is expensive does not mean much to this customer segment. And that's why the concept of luxury is changing quite rapidly. Some of this is covered in the report. And finally, always on. Always on support, 24/7. I want the product 24/7. I want it to be serviced 24/7. If it's gone bad, I want to put in a request 24/7, etc., etc. So again, I'm not going through the details given the paucity of time, but these are the 9 trends that you see along with a lot of case studies, that are captured in the report. And so I'm not going to go through this detail. There are some examples of, how a Stanley Cup, which is apparently a functional product, how did that suddenly become so big, and what have they done? And how are you then able to trend chase, shopalize, be phygital, etc., etc. If you look at riding the trends, a lot of incumbent brands are actually riding the trends more and more. From scroll to stroll, there are enough examples, around carts to counters. How do you be phygital overall? From aisles to algorithms, we spoke a little bit about AI, but it's not just about the aisle anymore. Shelf space is virtual. Zepto and Amazon control what shelf you see. It's actually, we have regressed in that way. You could go to a store, you don't choose what shelf you see, right? Unless you were to do a search. Then if you look at Lenskart, for example, VR-enabled stores and so on, there is a lot more that's going on, which is making the whole shopping experience frictionless and truly digital. The brand is not his, not hers. It's just vibes. You need to vibe with the consumer. We're trying to, in the report, you will see a lot of lingo, that is Gen Z lingo, talking about trends and how they think and how they talk. We've actually spoken to a lot of customers. We've drawn a lot of customer journeys in a very different way. You're going to see that a lot. We're talking about sneakers, we're talking about unisex apparel, we're talking about athleisure and how they engage. Some of that is covered quite a bit. And then, things got to work flawlessly. The thing around convenience is that it needs to work. It needs to be frictionless, right from utility to portability to ease of use and time saving, design forward, make it look good with me, make it relate to me, and it has to be for me. Is it for my skin? It's for my hair. It's for my wellness. It's for me. It's for my family. Whatever the case may be, depending on the category we're talking about. And so my final slide. And probably there's one slide to take away. It has to be this. We think the rules, the 4 P's of marketing are being rewritten. The 4 P's have to change. It's not product, it's purpose. It's interesting that this word came up all by itself in the GD we did. It's not price, it's perceived value. It's not about price anymore. You could be expensive and still be rejected. You could be very cheap and still be rejected. So what's the perceived value? Is it fair? Is it functional? Is there value beyond the product or beyond the service? Place is about presence now. There is no place. There's no concept of a store. There's no concept of an aisle. There's no concept around search, keywords. I don't know, right? It's really, are you omnipresent? Are you there with the customer when the customer needs to see you, right? And truly phygital access across channels and across communication media. And finally, it's not promotion. In fact, the Gen Z consumer gets cheesed off if you try to promote. They don't want to be promoted to. They want to participate, right? They want the brand to create experiences, retail experiences, other sensorial experiences, trial experiences that help consumers understand what the brand stands for. And therefore, building the story and building personal relevance to the brand. So I think that's really the central point of the report, to basically say, look, the Gen Z marketing rules are being rewritten. Brands who adapt and adopt will succeed. Brands who continue to struggle on product, price, place, promotion might actually miss the Gen Z bus. And that really is the central idea for the report that we published today. And I will just let it be key questions for brands to ponder upon. They're sort of obvious. They're also captured in the report as well. But the purpose, perceived value, presence, and participation. Those are the 4 P's that I would exhort and urge the marketers, brand builders, founders, retailers here to really start thinking about, because this is what really will matter. So we're extremely thrilled to have launched the report. Thank you, Nandini, again. Thank you, IREC, for providing us this amazing forum. This QR code, you can scan this. You can get to the report just by putting an email or something. It takes you to our website, most likely. And, we hope you enjoy this. We look forward to your feedback. And we look forward to continuing this dialogue. Because as I said in the panel, next year, Gen Beta is coming. Right? So this conversation won't stop. Thank you so much, everyone, for being such a patient and amazing audience.